those 17 smiling faces. Who are they, you might ask? These were my second graders from last school year. This picture was taken at the beginning of the school year in August. I had a huge surprise for my kiddos coming up. We would have to wait until November till they knew what it was. So the big surprise had arrived. We were getting a classroom set of iPads. In the summer of 2013, I took some Apple Foundations training that my district had offered. I eventually applied to be part of our iPad Academy, and I was chosen. My journey with technology in the classroom was about to begin. Along with this new technology came some additional changes to my classroom. We needed some new furniture and storage to create a charging station. I went to a local store to purchase the plastic bins and drilled holes in the back of the drawers for power cords. I also found the perfect size coffee table. Well, here they are with their hands on their iPads for the very first time. One of our district technology trainers came to help me with the introduction. She showed my kiddos all the basics of the iPad. Mrs. Carlson has been a great asset to my implementation process. One of the first things my students got to do was to take a selfie to set as their wallpaper and background. Here you can see a group of students playing with some of the photo features, making them black and white, looking like a holograph. The students got to choose what they wanted their picture to show up like. Here I am, looking very inquisitive. Now that my students knew the basics of these iPads, I had to ask myself, what do I teach them next? How do I incorporate the use of the iPads with our everyday lessons? This was no doubt going to be a journey where I would learn lots. The first thing we used the iPads for was to take our weekly spelling tests. I created one title slide within Pages, then used QuickTime to record myself reading the spelling test. I then uploaded the video to YouTube and linked it to Schoology. It was a lot of work for me, but it worked so smoothly for my students. Spelling tests worked so well that I thought, let's use an app that will allow students to practice their spelling sorts. Poplet was the answer. Students created word webs that followed their patterns for each week. Here is a group of boys working together, but they all have different lists. My next step was trying a flipped math lesson, so I learned how to use the app Explain Everything. I took a photo of the student's work page and was able to record my voice as I worked through the guided practice. Again, I was able to upload it to Schoology so students could watch the recording individually and at their own pace. Here's an example of some students working on the flipped math lesson. As you notice, they each have their own work page. They have their iPad hooked up with their own headphones, so each student is hearing my voice individually. They can pause and rewind if they need to hear something again, or continue on if they're ready. Once students were comfortable with the flipped math lessons, I wanted to find a new way to check for understanding. Through the app Seesaw, students could draw and record their own reflections. This was a great way for me to see if students understood a concept or needed to be retaught. These students learned so fast, and that pushed me to learn more ways to use our new learning tools. Here, my kiddos are learning from a Nearpod presentation. They loved how interactive they could be while learning new content. In Nearpod, students are able to answer polls, multiple choice questions, and draw their own responses. We also used our iPads during our daily 5 rotations. Here are 2 students playing Osmo Words. Osmo is a game system that allows students to have hands-on play with their iPads. Here there are 2 sets of the alphabet, each a different color, so students can play against each other. Within our first few months of having our iPads, it seemed as if we were using them for many math activities, including a lesson on area and perimeter. Here, students were given graph paper and Cheez-It crackers. They arranged their crackers on graph paper, took a photo in Seesaw, then recorded a short video explaining what their area and perimeter were. You know how some students sometimes have difficulties copying from the board, or you run out of time for a lesson and have to write save on the board like you see here? Well, I figured out that each student can take a picture with their iPad and work right from their desk. Then each of them have a copy of the material, and your whiteboards get cleaned every night. most important being the effect that this technology has had on the relationships among my students. They love to work in pairs or groups, and they have the confidence to teach their classmates new things about the use of technology. Students embrace the changes in our classrooms so well that I had to constantly have projects available for them to complete. They loved creating slideshows filled with content they had learned from our lessons. This was a great way to show me how much they had learned. My role was quickly changing from teacher to being a facilitator of learning. At times, the implementation process was difficult because there was a lot for me to learn, but all of those feelings of doubt went by the wayside when I found these precious notes on the board. This was just the affirmation I needed to know that I had made the right decision to implement technology into my classroom. With the overwhelming feelings out of the way, I decided to learn something new. Along with some fellow teachers, I attended a one-day workshop provided by Code.org. I learned all about coding and how to set up my class so that we could start to learn about computer science. My students were super excited, of course, and the programming went off without a hitch. With technology in full swing, I decided to make my classroom more flexible. I got rid of half of my desks and got more comfy seating options. Throughout this implementation, I have learned many things about technology and the countless benefits that come with it. I am glad that I challenged